Welcome to our PNL Tech Talk. I'm Xander Zoran. I'm a project manager here, and I also have M. Shaw, so I work as a miner. A couple things here. We're going to talk about underground mining. I just want to state a few things about copper first. 12% of the world's copper comes from the United States, and 70% of that comes from Arizona. A couple of the large owners that are of mines here in Arizona are Rio Tinto, Asarco, and Freeport-McMoRan. We have a couple things here. This is some 2x2 drip edge, which is used in roofing. This is just a solid block of copper ore, but we use copper in cell phones, automotive, it's in plumbing, so copper is very important, and we are proud to help the copper industry and move the world forward. I'm sitting here with one of our technicians.
I'm Ashley. I go underground a couple times a year. Yeah, I got my M. Shaw.
Well, let's have a little conversation about our experiences in underground. So what type of testing have you provided in underground mines?
Anything from mag particle to ultrasonic testing.
Yeah, have you done some stuff on some of their equipment that they're moving around there that they're using?
Yeah, I've done some lifting lugs. I do a lot of their rope attachments on their shafts. Kind of miscellaneous things here and there, like tie-off points as well. That's a big one.
Yeah, I've done the same. I've inspected their elevator shaft basket. I've inspected their work baskets, their pulleys that run their elevator for their shaft, and a lot of their equipment, and even their machines when their scissor lifts and their forklifts when they're bringing them down or bringing them back up. We got to inspect the lifting lugs and the points, so that way they know they won't break while they're bringing them in and out of the mine, or while they're bringing them around the mine down underground. So it's all about. For us, we're there to make sure that they can continue to work safe. How does it feel being underground in a mine?
It's pretty spacious, actually. I expected it to be a lot more condensed than it actually was. It feels similar to being in this room right now. They got lights, air conditioning.
Yeah, I would agree. It's kind of interesting going down the shaft. How did you feel going down the shaft?
They don't tell you how dark it is when you go down the first time, and you're down there and you're like, wow. And there's just a bunch of other people in the shaft or in the elevator with you, and they got their lights on just shining. You can't see anything, It's just pitch black. Yeah.
It's crazy, right? How far have you gone down underground?
I think it was 1.2 or 1.3 miles. But, there's different levels as well that we go to, but I think that's the deepest one.
Kind of vein system,
yeah.
like in how an ant would build their tunnels, right? It's pretty unique, and they have equipment on different levels doing different things. It's a very interesting, complex situation for how they dig out the copper, right?
Oh yeah, it's something to see for sure.
Describe a circumstance where you might have felt uncomfortable in the setting, or have you ever felt uncomfortable going down underground?
It's pretty cool down there. It's not really scary. I think more so is just the ride down. It's like 15 minutes?
It's a 15-minute long elevator ride.
Yeah, I think that's it. Basically just being in the pitch black, that's the part that kind of gets you.
The first time I ever went underground, I was a little anxious. So we were working on the glycol piping that helps bring the air conditioning down there for the cool air. And they wanted to check the Vitalic clamps at a certain levels. We were in the shaft working off of what they call the shark tank. Typically you're in the elevator where it's closed. Right, well, and then you open it up when you get to your level. This had a work deck that opened up.
Oh, God.
And so, you're harnessed in, right, and I'm with the guys. They're very comfortable. They've done this before. But I'm a little anxious, right? The first time I walked off, I'm at 4,000 level, so I'm 4,000 feet down, right? And you look up, you look down, you can't see nothing. It's pitch black. There was a leak above us, and so it's raining on us, I'm getting soaked. I'm holding the UT thickness scope, and I'm trying to just be like, don't drop this, don't drop this, don't drop this. But yeah, that was a little nerve-wracking, but I felt super safe with the crew I was around. It's amazing how comfortable those guys make you feel. They were down there a lot every day. They're safe, and they make you feel really safe.
That's actually another thing that you mentioned. That's another thing that caught me off guard is the water is warm.
Yeah.
Down there, and you don't realize until it hits the back of your neck, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, the natural water, right? It's coming down. I mean, it's a mile down, right? So it's going in the rocks. It's where you can almost smell the minerals,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I was down there the first time too, we were walking around, and you're in this big tunnel, and there's LED lights, and it almost feels like you're on the surface.
Yeah, you're just like in a
it's
shop
weird.
Or something.
And then I see the steam coming off the water, and the guy's like, "Yeah, don't touch that. It's a little warm." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh," and they're pumping it out, right? They're diverting it, and like they have a whole system down there that they're consistently working on and maintaining. It's pretty interesting. Did you ever have any trouble breathing when you were down in the shaft?
No, I don't think I ever have. The only thing I've had is my ears pop on the way down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the intense elevation change.
Yeah, because
right?
it drops fast.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't seem that fast, but it is going pretty quick.
Yeah.
The airflow that they have down there with their system that they have is pretty amazing, and it's a lot cooler than you would think, right?
Yeah.
Cold air pumping down there, and then they're pumping air out. If that wasn't circulating, it would be over 120 degrees down there, and it's always 99% humidity. So what type of PPE do you wear when you're going down underground versus just being at the surface?
Typically we wear a harness at all times, maybe like a rain jacket too, a high-vis rain jacket. Sometimes they provide special hard hats that you have to wear with a certain headlight on them that produce a certain amount of light. Steel toe boots, obviously, I mean, that's pretty much everywhere. They use the Met Guard.
Yep.
They require the Met Guard ones.
Yep.
There's gloves, the self-rescues.
Yep. You have a belt with the self-rescue on?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's a little bit different if you're just on the surface working on like the top A-frame of the shaft?
Regular high-vis vest, hard hat, safety glasses. Basically, it's all that down there, plus the raincoat and the harness and the self-rescue.
I like it. How do you take breaks down there? Eat a meal, right? Like, what's the longest period you've been down underground?
I think the longest period I was down there was 8 hours. Nothing compared to yours, but I brought food down there, and they have a little break room most of the time, and a fridge so you can keep your food cold. It's just like being on the surface. You just take your breaks when you can. Everybody's pretty cool down there, so.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. They have a pretty set schedule down there, so they know when they want, a break or their set schedule. So you just kind of take their break with them. Or in my situation that she was referencing, they were moving the equipment out of the mine. So they had to take a scissor deck out, a forklift out, and then another piece of equipment they were lifting out. So when they do that, they do it one at a time, and they use all these chain hoists. They lift it and they hook it onto the shaft main line. They swing it out, and then you ride up the elevator with it to make sure it doesn't hit any of the cross members that are the support structures. And so the 3 pieces of equipment we had to dig out, and I was there specifically because I was doing the lifting lugs and the pick points. So that way they knew it wasn't cracked, it wasn't gonna snap while they were lifting it up, because it takes about an hour and a half to bring up the piece of equipment. And then you go back down, and then they prep the next one, and we did the next one. It was pretty cool actually. It was a long shift, but I had my food. Kind of always planned to possibly be down there for like a 10 or 12 hour shift, right? So it wasn't too outside of what I was expecting. It was pretty interesting though, because we went down at like 8 a.m. and it was a little chilly. And then, throughout the 3 times we went up, it got warm and nice. And then when we came up, it was slightly snowing. And I was freezing because I was in 80 degrees, 99% humidity all day. And I was like, I am freezing. That was a pretty interesting, but it was a cool experience, right? I mean, that was those guys worked really hard, and it was pretty amazing to see how they were able to get everything to swing into the massive shaft without damaging anything and being completely safe. It's amazing what those guys can do. It's amazing the communication and the steps they have of safety down there to make sure they get the work done correctly and everyone goes home safe. It's really an interesting experience going down there with those guys that are like everyday miners.
They are just amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Crazy. Last question we'll talk about, you kind of talked about the depth you went down, right? You said like 1.3 miles?
Yeah. It's
crazy. It doesn't really matter what level you're on, right? Whether you're on 2,000, 4,000, 5,000, it kind of all feels the same, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah. They tell me what level I'm on every time. I'm like, it's the same.
Right, and once you start kind of going up and down, you have no idea, right? Yeah.
Not a clue. You can kind of tell by where you are in relation to the sound of the fans.
Oh, yep.
In the elevator, but that's about it.
Right. Yeah, is there anything else you want to add, kind of your experience on going on the underground copper mines, or?
Yeah, I think this pretty much summed it up. It's always fun. It's
a
good time. It's my favorite place to go, so.
Yeah, it's a unique job. We don't get to do all the time, but when we get to do it, it's a cool experience. It's safe. It's clean. It's actually super clean down there.
Really
it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I've never felt in danger or in harm down there. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, thank you for doing the interview with me.
Mm-hmm.
This is Ashley. I'm Xander, and we're PNL miners.